3H is moving towards human to human. And the idea there is that it's personalized. I didn't hear anybody say that word when it comes to inbound, but inbound, to a great extent, is about creating marketing that's personalized and being able to talk to that person one-on-one and share with them content and share with them something that's helpful one-on-one. So, and as we see tools, things like AI and all the different marketing tools that are coming out, kind of the promise of one-to-one marketing is getting closer and closer all the time. Who can give you some good examples of personalized marketing or personalized communications that you're doing right now? Anybody have good examples?
Based on something you downloaded, that you reference something that you engaged with and showing an interest and offer something like that that's related to that.
Okay, so somebody downloads something, you now know something about their interest, and then you start to narrow down what you offer them in for future communication.
Based on what they've been interested in.
Good.
You use smart content when sending an email, changing the content based on what they're interested in the past.
How do you segment that? What kind of things are you looking for?
Well, it depends on their browsing. I would do something like browsing history.
So look at the pages they view, things like that?
They view.
Okay. What about regions? Is anybody doing smart content by region or language or anything like that? That's what we're starting to do more about. Where I have a client where they're international, so we're trying to develop content in English that would be more applicable to the UK than the US, because there's definitely differences. Like spelling the word color, it's not the same, right? So if somebody in the UK is going to notice that if it's actually tailored to them. That's a little thing, but it's starting to personalize, right? Any other examples of good ideas of personalization? Video. How do you do personalized video?
We literally create a video for every prospect.
Oh, you got to tell me more about that, Chad. Come on, I want to hear more about that. That's great.
So it's just a light bulb.
Okay.
It takes work, but it's not automated.
Did you do that for every prospect you have? You just told me how your leads are blowing up, right?
Yeah.
You're going to qualify them to a certain level, and you're going to give them the most qualified. Okay, great. So what's in that? What's in the video? What do you put in there?
We meet the group, talk about what they're going to be doing, look forward to working with you kind of thing.
So it's meet the team. These are really. How about the specific offerings what you're offering them? Do you talk specific?
Sometimes, if it's appropriate.
Okay.
Sometimes it's more generalized.
I'm leading you somewhere, Chad.
Yeah.
How many of you, if your agencies, how many of you have kind of menu services, right? Good, better, best, slow, medium, fast. Who does that? Okay. I've never been a fan of that. That was like the whole rage for a long time. Lots of people were doing packages, and this is $5,000 what you get. I have no problem giving people a feel for what price points they might be at for services, but where I was leading you, Chad, was wouldn't it be cool if you had that video and it was like, and here's exactly, we're customizing our service to you, right? Because ultimately that's what people want. This human-to-human thing is I believe that there's something that's triggered in us when we're given what we think is kind of a standard package, right? It kind of violates that part of us that wants to be special and wants to be unique. So, and again, that's where marketing is going. So great example, Chad. Any other good examples of personalization? Yes, sir.
Something that we're working to implement, we haven't finished it yet, but personalized resource pages. So once we know what type of content they're looking at, or to where software that connects to other software, once we know what connection we have to make, whether it's Oracle or Microsoft, whatever, all the content having to do with those connections all go on one page that they can pass around without having to fill out forms, additional forms, or anything like that. And the big step is making it easy for our sales team to quickly go, okay, this is going to Google. I want to put Google's name in specific documents.
What's your name?
James.
All right, give me your business card, you get a book. Great answer. I've seen this done with some of the clients I've worked with where this one client I'm thinking of in particular makes a laser, and they do certain things with this laser. They cut things and mark things, and they create these application pages, right, where they have all this custom programming, they have examples and videos. It's very tailored. And they keep making lots of new ones, right? They have hundreds of them. So what you're saying is when you get a prospect, you're going to send them to a page that looks and feels to them like it's been customized to the conversations that you've had with them leading up to that?
Exactly.
That's awesome. I think that's a great idea. Great example. So the last one was, this was an internal mantra at HubSpot. They always talk about solving for the customer. And this goes to their culture, and this goes to how they build their kind of inbound operating system and how they make decisions. And this is something they repeat a lot. And you've probably heard the story about Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy. He says there's always an empty chair in the conference room, and that represents the customer for every meeting. Right? It's kind of the same idea. At HubSpot, they talk about solving for the customer. And the idea there is that when they're making decisions and they're back in their world, when the customer's out there and they're in here, they have to have some guiding principles that they use to help them make decisions. And believe me, having written a book, when I talked to Brian Halligan and I asked him to help us promote it, he's like, you got to talk to the blog people. So even he's not going to tell them what to do, right? He's going to make sure that the people that are writing their blog are still solving for their customer. So if I can help them solve for their customer, I have to convince them of that. Then they'll run my blog post, right? So it was a very interesting conversation I had about that with them, and that really permeates everything they do. And I was really surprised to talk to their CFO and John Kelleher, their lead counsel. Not the people you would typically think to talk about inbound, but when I talked to them, they were talking about solving for the customer. So when they were talking about how they created legal policies or use policies or how they dealt with certain legal issues, their first thing in their mind was solving for the customer. I thought that was pretty unique. So there's actually a section in the book that talks about the back office, finance, IT, legal, and how they need to be inbound as well. Because again, think about my first question. You had a bad experience? Anybody had a bad experience with the legal team? How about finance? Getting something paid for, getting a bill taken care of? Isn't that the worst? Right? It's not value added. It's not helping you a bit. But so many companies stumble over these things. It was interesting on my drive over here. I was listening to an ad for a large mortgage company. Their entire ad was about the experience. They talked about the best experience, the easiest experience, the fastest experience to get a mortgage. Never said one thing about the percentages, never said one thing about the terms, nothing. The whole ad was about, you'll have a better experience with us. Because I think what they probably figured out was, I don't know, anybody buy a house recently?
No, but I know who you're talking about, and their closing costs are very high.
They did. Well, that's probably why it was Rocket Mortgage.
Rocket Mortgage, right.
So, but I thought that their marketing was fascinating. All they talked about was experience. And it has to be because people have had such horrible experiences in the past. It has to be. That's the only reason you would do that. So the point is they're doing really well with higher closing costs. So that tells you something about customer experience. That tells you about how customers view that process, right? I want things to be simple. I want them to be easy. I personally am sick and tired of clicking okay terms and conditions, like 17 pages that I'm not reading, and I know it's like, oh, what did I get myself into? But I do it anyway. I mean, that's a terrible experience. That's a terrible experience. So let me ask another question. Do your customers have bad experiences? And if they did, would you know?
Sometimes.
Depends on how vocal they are.
Are they always vocal?
No.
So we actually had a situation where somebody left the company.
Yep.
And they were the only person with a log on to our software.
Oh.
So the next person got a log on and had no idea how to use it.
They're not using it.
And they didn't call us, they didn't do anything. I just happened to bump into them at a meeting. And that's how we figured it out. That's only because it happens. And so we made plans to fix that.
Something along the lines of 80% of dissatisfied customers won't ever tell you. They just leave. It's so easy to leave, they just go. And you don't really ever know, right? Because you don't ask, you're not surveying them, they just go. And the one for the book, we did a lot of research on service, and one of the stats that just blew me away was that over 80% of the people leave a service interaction. So this is when they've told you they have a problem, and they've reached out to you. 80% of those people leave less happy, less satisfied than when they had the problem. So essentially, 80% of us we're making the service worse. We're making the experience worse when they call our service department. So anyway, so solving for the customer is an idea that has to go across your business. Everybody that's in your company, when they make decisions, it has to be with the idea that, are we solving for the customer? You have to solve for the business, right? You can't solve to the point where you put the business you go out of business, but your first thought has to be solve for that customer.